Hello everyone, Manthral here, and welcome to a little bit of a beginner's guide to player-owned farms. Now this video was supposed to be out yesterday, however, I had found some stuff out after I had just made the video that was kind of a big deal. Okay, so if you're starting out, you'll get a couple bunnies, which is actually very good. If you ask me, you want to have 2 bunnies right off the bat, and you want to keep those 2 bunnies for all time, not only for the sake of breeding, but for the sake of the perks. And I know some people will be like, well, what's the point of the perks? Well, they can have some pretty big effects. Especially for the bunnies, for the small ones, at least to start out, to get yourself going, to get things going well. Because once they hit the outer stage, if you have them in the pen, you'll get a breeding chance of plus 7%. Now, me personally, I have my 2 small pens as both rabbits, and both of them have a elder bunny in it. And yes, you don't have to have a couple to get the bonus. You only need to have 1 elder bunny in there, and you'll get your bonus. So that is my target for them. Now I have them breeding over here because I have a rabbit buyer here. So that's why, I have those as a bigger target. But you just take them over, you'll put them in your pen. Like I said, I keep them in there for the increased breed chance or capabilities. It really does actually help out significantly. So that's the main thing. Since I have 2 pens, I have it at plus 10%. Now, the sad thing is you can only have the small animals in the small pen, the medium with the medium pen, and the large animals with the large pens. So I don't think, and I'm pretty sure, none of the other animals give a breed boost. So currently, as it stands, tier 2 for the like rabbits perk is the only way to actually increase your breed chance, which isn't horrible, but it's not great either. But it's worth it, especially when you have the bigger creatures and you're trying to get stuff out faster. Because right here, there's my rabbit buyer. You don't get a whole lot for the rabbits. You get a decent amount for your medium animals. And then the larger animals, of course, will yield your best results. Now, the one thing you do need to keep in mind too, when you are, penning these animals, certain breeds and even certain genders of an animal will actually yield a different perk. For example, my sheep right here. Now, these are just your plain white sheep, your plain common sheep. But if I check my totem here, it'll actually show you that I have 2 perks, which is Have You and Randomly Accessed Memories. Both are tier 1, but the Have You is because I have a ewe, female sheep, in my pen, which I gain 2 pieces of wool on a successful shearing. And then 1 for just having an elder sheep in there, I gain divine strands from farming activities at a 50% rate from divination. Now, let's say I were to take out my ram, and now we'll see that there's going to be, more than likely, a small change, which exactly there is. I only have 1 now. So as you can see, even the genders sometimes can actually have an impact on what happens with your perks. Now, when it comes to these rabbits over here, I can have one of the common brown rabbits in each, and I want to get that boost overall. That's why you only see 1 per pen, and that's why I have 1 per pen. Now, up next, I'm pretty sure the term manure mound is not going to yield this kind of result, but this is something that I had actually discovered. Now, it could have been a bug, it could have been a glitch, I'm not sure, but I got a substantial amount of farming components for my outfit from mucking out, and it was from the rabbit droppings. But now, as you can see too, the XP ratio for doing the mucking out alone is actually not bad in the whole aspect of farming skill in general. Now, if you want to say compared to the fruit trees, it's not great, but even compared to them, it's not bad. Because now, yeah, okay, you might get 5-10k per tree, but you have to wait at least probably about a day per tree for the bigger ones, for the better ones, for the higher yield ones. But when it comes to the mucking out, 20 XP. 20 XP. So it's in a very consistent rate, and it's very, very quick in comparison to those trees. But now, if you notice down here in my chat, I'm only getting about 18 Master Farmer fragments. Yesterday, after I had recorded and uploaded, I didn't post it yet, but after I had uploaded it, I got over 3,000 at one point just for doing it. I got 3,619 farmer fragments from one shovel. One shovelful of this stuff. And that's what I got. So there is a chance at getting a substantial amount of farmer fragments from doing that. So when you see that, do be sure to actually get your hands dirty, if you will. Now, I know, especially even in the in-game chats, through the public chats, there will be a lot of people asking each other, how do you increase your animals' happiness or health? Currently, from the best of my knowledge, you can't. You can restore it, but you can't increase it currently. Now, I could be wrong, because I'm only doing the beginner stuff yet, and I can't get to the large pens yet. So there could be a way to actually do it, but currently, from what I know, for a beginner's guide, a beginner starter way, you can't. Now, if there's an instance where your animal gets diseased, you do want to treat it as soon as you possibly can, because that'll help out, especially if you are to yield XP from it yet. Ooh, sorry. But yeah, you'll want to do that. And now the different diseases are very actually kind of simple to figure out once you really think about it. There is quite a few. There's dry nose, there's flu, there's bone rattle, and then I believe there's a couple more. There's foot and mouth, and then there's a cursed one. Now, all these, I believe, are kind of realistic. The one that really stands out a lot to me is the cursed one. The reason why that one stands out is because dry nose, your animal has a dry nose. Flu, just like your flu symptoms, you're coughing, sneezing, your eyes are usually a little bit more watery. There's pretty substantial, easy to tell issues. Bone rattle. They're perfectly fine, it seems like, in general, except for whenever they're moving, it'll say about how their bones creak. That'll be the bone rattle. So it's things that are, fairly easy to tell. But when it comes to the curse, it really gets weird, and you'll be able to tell because of the weird dialogue that comes along with it. So that is the one that is the curse. But it's very simple to actually just sit, think about it logically. It's just like, okay, that's actually that. And once you get used to the different patterns, it becomes very easy. Now, as far as traits go, the easiest way to get your traits up there, and mostly it's going to be RNG, because there is something you can buy for a lot of magic beans. But by the time you get those magic beans, you're going to be pretty well off in your farm. Unless you can't get certain animals, like let's say you can't get the dragons yet. Let's say you can't make that large pen. Like for example, my Iron Man account, which is what I'm using right now, he can't get that large pen because I don't have the smithing level to make the rune nails that are necessary to build those pens. So that sets me back just a little bit. But by the time that's a big deal, I'm going to be working on my other stuff, because already a good chunk of my rabbits already have 3 traits to them. So when it comes to it, just breed your animals and try to get traits that way, because it's going to be a bit more interesting and it's going to make things exactly the same without spending all the magic beans. Now, if you have no need for the magic beans, by all means, if you want to keep spending, go ahead and spend. But I would just not spend it if you can help it. Because like I said, it does cost a substantial amount. Well, yeah. I think it's 25k, I believe. So whatever you do, try to avoid that if you can. I believe Granny is... Oh, okay, she's not actually locked behind them. She should be. But yeah, see, here you'll see the multiple trait boost. And there's a small, medium, large. It goes from 6k to 12k. It just... Don't bother with it. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. Unless you're at that point, and like I said, you have no idea what else to get. Then you have different things like these here types of magic beans, which is actually kind of interesting. And it says it can be planted in wood, spirit, and elder tree patches to grow something near instantly. So that's actually pretty dang good. And now this is actually going to get onto my next point here. When it comes to raising chickens, if there is a chickens buyer yet, but there is a sheep buyer. And when it comes to raising the sheep, I would not breed them. I would just buy them from the store because it costs about 30, well, it costs 30 beans. And on average, I was selling sheep for 88 beans. And that is with them not having the trait that the person was looking for. And it was much faster just to buy a few sheep, throw them in the pen, and sell them. They grow up a lot faster than they do breeding. Now I will say, granted, my 2 sheep are elders, so that does slow down the breeding process. The adolescent and adult is where your maximum breeding is going to be. Of course, the baby ones have no breeding potential, and the elders have a reduced breeding potential. But now with the different traits, you can actually boost that, and it can actually be kind of okay. But I know I don't have a lot of beans right now, but that is because every single time I buy a pen, I am also buying a totem. So as you can see, I have 3 pens currently active. I could have a large pen active, but I didn't realize I was going to need rune nails before I bought it, which that means I would actually be currently close to my 2nd medium pen. But my mistake. So that covers all of that. Like I said, the traits, that's kind of RNG. There's not much you're going to be able to do as far as, getting that the way you want it to be. Now, when I was saying about traits, right here's a perfect example with Samson here. He has 3 traits already. Constipated, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not great either. He never produces dung. He's perfected. He's a perfect example of its breed. And Ausla. And it says, this rabbit guards the warren carefully. I don't know what the heck that means, but he has his 3 traits. Now this one, adolescent, this is the prime time to sell him. So I want to gather the produce. I'm going to remove him from the pen. Or her, I forget which one. Yeah, him. And then the same goes for Richard here. He's a male. He is robust. This, I think, is just a bug currently, because there's no trait, but yet it is so saying he has Osla again. But here, he has robust. And now, I'm going to actually just remove him. Oh. So, as you can see there, if you guys had the chance to, if I remove him, I'll lose the ability to gather produce from them. They don't really produce anything, but I kind of wanted to see, because I kind of remembered this, but at the same time I wanted to make sure that you won't get more money for that if, you know, you don't gather the produce, because it doesn't matter, because they won't have, it'll be removed regardless. So right here, I'm selling Randy for 27 beans, small profit. I can sell Richard here again for 27 beans. Now, if they had the trait he's looking for, or her, I forget, it would be even more, but I don't have those traits yet, because the traits are purely RNG as to what you get. Now, if I were to take these two, because these both have 3 traits, I could easily keep pumping out 3 trait rabbits, which is actually probably what I should be doing instead of the other ones, because these two will be able to get me much better results. Oh wait, one of you only had 1 trait. Okay, they're the female. So we got a male rabbit, so I need to remove the male rabbit from up here, because this female up here has 3 traits. That's what it is. I forgot to switch them out. No, this female has 2 traits. That's right. I kept her because she has Studley, which increases the breeding chance, much higher breeding chance than other animals, and she has immune, which makes her immune to diseases. But he only has 1 trait, so we're going to take him out and we're going to put in Samson. This way it is a very good combo. I got 5 traits going in there, which is probably going to be my best way to go about this. Now I'll just put Snowy back in this pen over here, and voila, we have our 10% again. Well, 10% boost. So it's always important to have the rabbits in the beginning. Worst comes to, if you need to raise, let's say, chickens or another small animal, just take them. You take the one rabbit you have in here, put it back in the other pen, get the other animals you need, throw them in there, raise them to the adolescent or above stage, start breeding them if you need to, and as you're breeding them, just put the other rabbit back in, and you should be good to go. Now, if you need that pen to raise them, by all means, let the ones that are being raised in there. But it's actually just that simple. It's just it looks a lot more complicated than that, but that's about the extent of the complication. The most complicated part is getting the traits and getting the traits you want, because that is purely RNG. Essentially, that would be the same thing as if you go to fight Abyssal Demons for 5 hours and you don't get a single Abyssal Wand or Abyssal Whip. I feel bad for you if you're fighting for 5 hours and you don't get a whip, but it is possible. But that's essentially all that is. All you have to do is worry about the RNG, and you should be good. Now, as far as what you can do in the meantime of when you're raising your animals and breeding your animals. Now, I'm sure a lot of people know the particular rotation of hitting all the patches. You want your active file, you want your explorer's ring, if you have it, the Ardougne cape, but the Ardougne cape is good, but you kind of don't need it anymore. But at the same time, it would be kind of nice to have. And also your Cather B lodestone teleport. So I want to go through just one trip just to show you guys what I personally do for my farm runs now in general. I have my nasturtiums, or whatever they're called, combined with watermelon, because I don't have white lilies yet. If I had white lilies, it really wouldn't matter what I'm growing, because those can protect against, for all of them, whereas the other ones cannot. Now, I usually plant mushrooms, so instead of just teleporting there and wasting some Viswax, so you'll see that one, but maybe every 4 or 5 trips of farming I might go take a look to see how my mushrooms are doing, to make sure they're not diseased or something's going wrong. Now, the last time I planted them, I actually had to go to bed, so it's very hard to say if they're actually in good shape right now or not. Hopefully they're in good shape, because I would really like to, they look dead, but I'd really like to start getting my mushroom zygomites, there we go. I'd really like to start getting them going. I'm not sure if they take a medium or large pen, but I would like to see them, or have them start to go, because I would like to see the different types of perks. And again, as we already know, the different genders of an animal take effect, so I'm pretty sure that would mean different breeds probably have an effect too, potentially, as far as traits go. Well, once I'm done with this one, you take your cabbage port, you go to the farm right south of Falador. Then from here, you just take your lodestone. I clicked on the wrong one, my apologies, because as you can see I have them in my hotbar. Meant to hit 7, just the way I can go here. Now if you have the magic watering can from the quest, this will be even better yet, but I don't quite have that yet. But then after I go here for Catherby, I teleport to Ardone. I take care of the animals, I take care of any mucking out that needs to be done. Especially since now I know you can get a large amount of fragments just from one mucking out. So it's always worthwhile doing. Especially because it just makes the pen look nicer in general. Then I can come here, check on my watermelons, water them if I need to, and continue on, check on my herbs, take care of them, take care of everything. But this is just the beginner's guide. There's potentially a lot more to come, and once I start getting into the more complex areas of it, and assuming they don't add more content to it, because this update is pretty big, especially for the farming skill, and I can greatly see this being a huge turning point for the farming skill, because personally I hated farming. I thought it was very boring, and I barely did the trees or fruit trees, and that was sparingly because I just didn't even feel like doing those, even though they gave you a large chunk of XP. However, now that there's these animals, I'm supposed to be doing Slayer right now for my skill rotation, and here I am doing farming, and I've been doing that all week because I love the content, I love the update. Adds a lot to the game, actually. But that'll do it for this portion of it. This is the beginner's guide. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, later guys.